Boo! Haha, got you good. Just kidding. Happy Halloween, everybody. I want to take this opportunity to let you all know that I'm not a scaredy cat. Yeah, that's right. I show no fear. If you want to fight me, I won't back down. Nothing scares me. Okay, I lied. I do get scared every now and then. We fear what we don't understand, said some random philosopher. This quote is usually true when it comes to us being kids. That's the time in our lives when we look back and tend to understand things the least. Sometimes I look back at my childhood and say, man, those were the days. You know, it's like Paul Beatle McCartney used to say, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a 5 o'clock shadow on my face, and I only shaved it yesterday. The TV in my house helped me shape me into who I am today, for better or for worse. You see, for every 10 wholesome things that you consume from whatever was on the television, there's at least one thing that scares you. As a kid, I sometimes showed fear, the kind that wouldn't get me into the Jedi Council. Allow fear, we do not, said the green wrinkly puppet who steals people's food.
Put that down, now we... Hey!
Today, I'm going to talk about some pieces of media that used to scare me as a kid. Now let me just say this before we start. All these things I'm going to talk about aren't meant to be intentionally scary. Or at least I hope not. Here's the funny thing. I actually enjoy the show. Now that's not me saying that I still watch the show all the time like I used to. You know, I might watch a clip of the show like, you know, every, I don't know, like 100 years or so. I used to watch it after school back in the day. It stars the owner of the house, Bear the Bear. A very original name, I know. Noel McNeil plays Bear with such love, care and assurance. He's just that good at playing the character.
Tell me, did you just have toast with honey on it? 'Cause you smell all sweet, like honey.
I'm also happy for him that after the show ended in 2006, he shaved off all his fur and became a chef. He is accompanied by Ojo the Bear Cub, Tusher the Mouse, Treelo the Lemur, and Pip and Pop the Otters. There's also Shadow, a shadow that lives in the walls and tells bear stories. What I like about her is that she doesn't carry guns or swears.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
Though I do wonder if she has ever interacted with anyone besides Bear, or if they ever acknowledged her existence, because if not, then there might be a chance that Bear has schizophrenia.
Oh my god!
The show is great at teaching kids some basic life skills, usually through singing, while also being funny and entertaining. It didn't get nominated for any Emmys.
Oi, don't say that. That's not true.
But I do find it kind of funny that it still won more than Better Call Saul. The joke being that Better Call Saul never actually won any Emmys. So, yeah. I mean, I hope you really enjoyed that funny and epic joke. I really like the show. Until it becomes nighttime. I always hated it when it becomes dark at the climax of every episode. This is when I begin my long spiral into my fear-induced nightmare. It's the kind of shit Scarecrow would use on Batman in the Arkham games. Once everyone goes to sleep, Bear goes up to the balcony and talks to Luna the Moon. Ooh boy, don't even get me started on the moon. Its giant eyes and mouth acknowledging my existence gives me more anxiety than the kind Tony Stark had to deal with in Iron Man 3. Its voice, done by Lynn Thigpen, just gives me such creepy vibes. Jimmy Savile.
You know, I've always noticed from up here that sometimes the little ones worry about leaving their diapers behind.
The Goodbye song, which Luna sings with Bear, accompanied by a montage of clips from the episode, is a certified banger to be fair, but it feels like a trap to lure unsuspecting children like me back in the day into a false sense of security. And when they finish singing, he says bye and Luna ascends into the night sky, ready to spy on the human beings below. Actually no, she doesn't, because she already ate them all in their sleep. I also hate when Bear turns the lights off at the end of every episode, because I find it a bit scary seeing a Michael Jordan-sized puppet walking around in the dark like he's about to steal your grandmother. But then he turns them on again and gives us advice before turning them off again. It's weird. I actually like Bear when he's well lit, but for some reason I feel the opposite when he's in the dark, with only the moonlight shining down on him. I remember every time the end credits play, I would run out of the room because of the last few seconds. You see, there's a black dog representing Shadow Projects that barks twice, and then it's followed with the Jim Henson production company logo. I don't know why, but that entire end credit sequence really scares me. The music is just an instrumental of the show's intro, which I like. Without the singing, it just sounds like a strange, ominous feeling creeping in the room, like it just sounds too good to be true. Combine that with the house closing and the camera backing up into the woods adds to this sense of dread. I always used to think that the house and the surrounding area was like its own pocket dimension, where nothing exists outside the general area. So it just feels like I'm forced to stay in the woods until the next episode comes on. One night when I was a kid, I had a nightmare that the outro was playing exactly as it usually plays out, but instead of the black dog, there was like a green frog with brown and yellow spots on a green background, and then it went fully black. The song ends with the last note of the trumpet echoing, and then I immediately woke up in a cold sweat. Even writing the script for this video is making me develop a lump in my throat, and I keep thinking Bear will creep into my room and force bear propaganda down my throat. Honestly, I should just adopt a cute golden retriever so he could protect me from such horrors, or even use this cockapoo. Frankie, would you ever help me out? If I ever get chased by a... oh, okay. Okay, never mind. He's useless.
Useless?
I'll kill you.
I am fascinated with the PS2. It was the first console I had for myself, and I must have been around 5 or 6 at the time I got it. I think we used to have a PS1, which was a gift from my sister before I was even born, and by the time I got the PS2, she probably stopped caring about gaming. Now, my memories of this thing were relatively vague. I do remember playing SpongeBob SquarePants Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and iToy Play on this thing. I would just get stuck on the first level of the first 2 games, and that was the extent of my nostalgia for them. One day my PS2 stopped reading discs, and instead of trying to fix it, my dad decided to throw it away.
Oh fuck, I can't believe you've done this.
It wasn't until 3 years ago when I decided to buy a second-hand PS2 from CEX. It brought me back to a time long forgotten. It helped me open up my third eye. All the good memories came back to me, and the scary ones. One time I was playing the boxing minigame from iToy Play, and then suddenly there was a power outage. It was night time as well, so everything was pitch black. I was alone in one of the rooms downstairs while everyone else was in a different room, so naturally I started to panic and cry. I had some fun times with this thing, and that wasn't one of them. I know it has nothing to do with the game itself and more so an experience I had while playing, but it's still worth bringing up because now whenever I think about this game, I am reminded of that little piece of childhood trauma. Anyway, let's move on to the console itself. The same console that Alan's landlord from Smiling Friends likes so much.
I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke weed and fill our bellies with diet soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2.
The PS2 startup is one of the most iconic in all of gaming, but holy moly did it scare me back in the day. The sudden burst of noise, accompanied by grey towers growing out of a dark void, then being sucked in by some sort of wind and bringing me to the menu screen whenever I don't have a disc inside the console. Now, I never got to experience the red screen of death back then. If you ever got one of those things, that means your PS2 was fucked. What about the actual menus? Well, they are a completely different kettle of fish. The spinning blue spots of light flying around in the dark, and beside them are the words browser, system and configuration. All you can hear is the sound of waves and the various sound effects when hovering over different options. When you select browser, you are transported to a new plane of existence, a beige colour, and gives you the option to look at your memory card data or select the disk if there's one inside. I once had a dream, nightmare? I don't know, I can't really tell, where the same menus were there, but instead of a black background, it was some sort of cafe. No one was inside, only the sounds of those waves. It felt kind of eerie. Anyway, that's enough about the menus. Let's go back to talking about the games. When playing Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when you get to one of the levels in Nocturne Alley, there's a severed hand that could grab you that sounded like it came out of a jar of peanut butter. I think there was a moment in the game when Harry was being chased by someone. I don't know at what point in the game that happened, or if it even happened at all, but I kept running into walls shouting, "Hedwig," as if he was going to miraculously save me from this predicament, like he is some sort of super owl. There was also a weird nightmare I had where the Harry Potter model from the game jumped and then did a Hulk smash in front of me, went to black, then appeared in the style of those Spider-Man 3 video game cutscenes and started talking like Venom.
What?
I know it sounds like the kind of stuff you hear from the local town drunk, but don't act like any dream or nightmare you had made any sense. Now let's have a look at Sponge Person. SpongeBob Revenge of the Flying Dutchman is a mostly peaceful game to play. In fact, if you remove the background music, which is really good in my opinion, whenever you don't listen to it for more than 5 minutes, then it feels like you are running around in a ghost town. But I remember whenever you collect every letter of SpongeBob's name in an area, he spins violently, and then you're taken inside of his head, where you have to put together a puzzle in a limited amount of time. I used to find completing this puzzle to be difficult for some reason. Having played the game recently for this video through definitely legal means, I was surprised by just how easy it actually is, to the point where I could finish it in less than 10 seconds. I must have been distracted by all the shit that was flying around inside his head. I tried to chase and catch Patrick, who would run around every now and then. Obviously you can't catch him, so I don't know why I kept trying. After some long loading screens, you finally get back into normal gameplay, but you are given a pogo stick, which is used as a means to find treasure, and the music has this weird type of ominous feel. Once you find the treasure, it hard cuts to one of the Flying Dutchman's dirty socks on a stick, accompanied by glorious music and then the sound of disgusted children. I can't remember if this ever scared me or if I was only a little creeped out, but what I do know for certain is that this game isn't as bad as people are making it out to be. I'm quite nostalgic for this game, which probably explains why, and I do probably find some enjoyment when playing it. Now obviously it's not good at all, but when you compare it to the Atlantis SquarePants tie-in game, a game that came out 4 years later, then I'd rather endure this than play the game that features the David Bowie fish. Looking back, I don't know why I ever found some of these PS2 memories to be that scary. Now the only thing I have to be afraid of now when it comes to the PS2 is whether the second-hand game I bought actually works, and hoping I didn't waste my money on a useless disc. I also used to own Coronation Street Funk Fit. I don't know why. I think it's just something that my mum used. Oh, Jesus, it's hot. I'm taking this off. You know how sometimes you buy a DVD or VHS copy of a popular show, and before you get to the main menu, you get an intro for some random distribution company? Usually they're nothing special, but there was one in particular that I had in mind as being a bit creepy, that being VCI. VCI, or Video Collection International Limited Edition Stephen Gerrard Match Attax 2011-2012 card, can mostly be found on Thomas the Tank Engine DVDs or VHS tapes. You know Thomas the Tank Engine. It's the story about an obese man dressed up like he's at the Grand National.
snap the fat controller.
Harassing trains that have the ability to talk without moving their mouths. Like me. Okay, going back to VCI here, it isn't really what I am seeing that I used to find scary, but rather the music. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not an expert on music, if you can't tell. Man, I love playing the guitar. It's my favourite musical instrument. I'm just so good at it. You know, just like the great guitarist himself. Halion. Oh shit, my hand grew back. The weird, loud, industrious music playing, followed by the swooshing sounds as the letters V, C and I appear out of nowhere like Galactus dropped his alphabet soup and asserted their dominance in front of me. Yeah, that was a bit weird, though the C could do with some Sudocrem because the red spot looks really bad. Sometimes there is a man who out of nowhere speaks about how great this obscure company is and promoting some other show or whatever.
VCI presents some of the most popular children's characters available to buy on video.
I don't know, because I was too busy shitting myself with fear. It seems as though I'm not alone when it comes to this monochrome fever dream. While looking for a clip of this intro on YouTube, I came across a video where in the description it reads, "Does anyone else find this logo really creepy?" by a Thomas the Tank Engine YouTuber called James A. Williams. So it's great that we can both share in our innate fear of something that technically no longer exists anymore. Okay, I think that was everything. I hope you enjoyed the video and... Alright, that was a knock on the door. I better go check it out.
One eternity later.
Alright, turns out it's a letter. Let's read it, shall we?
The pirates are out to get you.
A bit vague, that. With love from Fact. Federation against copyright theft. Not the pirates. The 2012 animated movie by Aardman.
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
I was recently watching some episodes of Mr. Bean with a friend of mine who hadn't seen the series before. While watching the end credits of the episode The Trouble with Mr. Bean, something awoke within me. A long lost memory of me watching the same episode on DVD. You see, this kind looking gentleman, likely named Barry Smith, who I assume is a pirate, and will most likely find the One Piece before the Straw Hats do, is just minding his own business, branding various bundles of VHS tapes, DVDs and music CDs inside a dark room as they burst into flames, all while having a very intimidating British man narrate how the pirates will use your money to fund terrorists and use said money to make, I don't know, like egg-free mayonnaise, something like that.
Don't let them brand you with their mark.
You know, a typical Saturday night with the lads. Imagine being this guy, being told that you will most likely be used in a cool medieval movie or TV show as a blacksmith, only to be told that you are instead being used for an anti-piracy ad done by Fact. They are the ones responsible for this. I know this might be cheating on my part, as I said I wouldn't use anything that is intentionally scary, you know, as they are trying to scare people into obeying the law. But I do think that by association with it being the last thing I see before being booted back to the main menu of a Mr. Bean DVD, a series that is not scary in the slightest, except for the part where Mr. Bean flashes himself in front of a group of women at a public swimming pool. Then from my point of view, it is unintentionally scary. How could you do this to me, Mr. Bean? You know how much I sacrificed? It also doesn't help that you couldn't fast forward or skip this ad, at least as far as I can remember. Let me say this though, it does seem a bit counterproductive to remind your viewers not to buy physical copies of media, because before that, I had no idea that piracy was even a thing, and I would have lived a peaceful life being ignorant of that fact. I already paid for my DVD, So why are you punishing me for being a good person, fact? Just when you think the ad is over, it's not. Once the fact logo appears, now a very intimidating posh British man narrates, mentioning that they have a bunch of hotline numbers to ring if you come across any pirated media.
Please call our UK hotline on 020-8568-6646.
And then getting engulfed in flames. I can imagine these hotlines didn't involve older women in my area asking for some, you know, help crossing the road.
I was hoping this would be a happy ending.
So what have we learned here today? Well, I didn't learn anything from this experience, other than the fact that I was reminded of how much of a wimp I was as a kid. A wimpy kid, if you will. A wimpy kid, if you will.
Boo! You stink!
If only I was able to keep note of absolutely everything I did as a kid in some sort of diary and sell my story, you know, that could be great. But Jeff Kinney beat me to it, so I guess it wouldn't have mattered. Basically, it's okay to find something scary, even if it isn't inherently so. We have our reasons for doing so. It's just that our brains are wired differently to everyone else. There are times when we might find something funny even if it's meant to be scary.
Shut up! You deserve to be dead after what you did! You hear me?
You know, just as an example. It's just the way humans are. Now as an adult, I don't find most things I was afraid of as a kid to still be scary. The only difference is that I can cope with all those things in different ways. So yeah, in conclusion, go watch Better Call Saul. Well, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye. Oh, I almost forgot. And by the way, if a bear ever tries to force his propaganda down your throat, then just tell him to jog on. See you.